All right, this is Tommy T with First Year Moto Trials. I'm back in the woods with one of my favorite little down sloping turns. Around this tree, I went ahead and put some logs around so you can see exactly the boundary that I'm trying to stay inside. So we'll do this a few times, turning first gear, second gear, then we'll try a little bit of nose wheelies and see what kind of progress we can make on tight turns.
So today I'm going to do some analyzing of my riding in hopes that it can add value to you guys. This is mostly going to be downhill turns, and you can see I'm staying really low. So we're going to cover a few different points today, but this is kind of some modified figure eights coming into this downward turn right here. I feel like I've definitely gained a lot of control, especially when I've been doing this type of practicing. All right, so we're going to break this down here in just a moment. All right, we're gonna freeze the frame here. So I'm getting my left knee out in order to get my hips out to the outside of the turn there. And then I'm gonna keep my hips low and also back. And this is gonna provide traction to that rear tire. I'm gonna be looking in the direction where I wanna go because typically your bike goes where you're looking. All right, so taking another look at this right-hand turn, not just from the backside, but also from the front. Now, if you're familiar with Ryan Young's school of thought, if you draw a line down the middle of the bike 150 pounds is leaning to the inside of turn, so we gotta put 150 pounds to the outside. So I'm rolling my left foot out there, which is helping my left knee to go out and my left hip out to keep that weight in balance. All right, and you can see I'm really low. My hips are down, and this is like seated in a chair. This position is hard to hold on to, especially when you get fatigued. So I found myself doing squats in order to try and stay in shape. And one thing that's interesting is I thought my legs were in balance, like they were both the same strength, but they're not. I spend most of the time static balancing with the wheel to the left, or maybe it's from kickstarting, but my right is a ton stronger. So these split squats have really helped to get both legs strong in this situation. So this next bit's gonna be all about bike setup. You think about the geometry of it, and as a taller rider, I used to have the forks all the way down, and I didn't have that space there in the triple clamps. And my front tire was washing out a lot, so I've experimented a little bit and raised the forks up in that triple clamp, which actually brings that front wheelbase back towards the end of the bike. And to kind of paint the picture, if you imagine a chopper style bike with that front wheel way out in front, it's gonna wash out a whole bunch more because there's just no weight on it. Even though we're talking about getting the weight back in these turns, if you imagine the wheelbase coming closer to the rear wheel, you're gonna get your weight directly over it and it's not gonna have as much of a tendency to wash out. I'm sure somebody else might be able to explain that a whole lot better, but experiment with the height of your triple clamps and your forks. It paid dividends for me. All right, so now just working on a little bit of a nose wheelie and trying to hop. I know I don't need to in this setting, but it's good to practice on uneven terrain, and especially if you're gonna use it in a competition. So this is my weaker side, trying to hop the rear wheel to the left, and I want you to see what happens. So I keep falling to the outside, which is typical. Most people fall to that outside, and there's been a major breakthrough as far as my understanding of why this is occurring. One simple thing you can do is let go of that front brake. That should drop you down a little sooner, but there's another element to this. So looking at this from directly behind, as I am pivoting the rear wheel to the right, in order for that steering stem not to fall to the right, because that's what causes you to fall the outside, that steering stem, you'll notice it's staying straight up and down. It's not pivoting to the right at all until I'm setting the bike down. I'm gonna put extra pressure on my left hand. So as I go up in the air, instead of equal pressure, I'm putting more pressure on the left hand, which is keeping that steering stem level and keeping the bike from falling. Same thing, hopping the wheel to the left, I'm gonna put extra pressure on that right hand. And it's not all the pressure, maybe it's 70-30, but there's definitely more weight on my right hand to keep that steering stem from falling over, which keeps me from falling to the outside. You'll see here that steering stem is already tilted to the left, and then down I go to the left.
I think this is really where my skill set has shown it needs improved, is when there's ribbon out, staying slow, staying controlled, good clutch control. So that's what I'm working on.
So this section is a lot steeper. This hillside is just way more challenging. I've got a few small saplings in there, so I've got to cut around the sapling and then stay inside of that boundary, which you can see I'm struggling to do. Let's just move it over in order to make it a little easier. But so here, just going super slow, but I'm struggling. See the rear wheel just washing out, and I think I pinned why this is as well. Watch my hips come up as I'm falling, and I give it more gas, and then sure enough, rear wheel is just kicking out, washing out. Less weight on the rear and more gas is not gonna work for traction. So difference there, just keeping the hips steady, staying low, and just being smooth. When I'm irky-jerky, that's when it's washing out. So you can see I'm fighting it. My hips are getting fatigued. I've been doing this for probably 20 or 30 minutes and I'm all over the place. Thankfully I didn't fall that time. But just here's another look at the angles here. Keeping those hips steady, nice and smooth on the clutch and throttle. What a difference that makes. So you can see knee out to the right, hips are out to the right, hips staying low and consistent, just like in the garage driveway practice. Hips are low and out to the right, low and out to the right, smooth on the clutch and throttle. And that's how you get it done. Guys, thanks so much for tuning in. I hope to do more of this, just, really deep diving on these turns, analyzing it, learning what works for me. Hopefully it can add value to you guys. Hips came up on that one again. Thankfully I didn't wipe out sliding back down as I lost all that traction. But thanks so much for watching, guys. Don't forget to comment. It means a lot to me just to hear from you guys. If this is adding value, I'd love to hear it. Thanks so much.